What is going on, everybody? This is Drew here. I want to welcome you all to a brand new episode of Phoenix Down. This is Phoenix Down 107.2. And today I have with me Matt.
Hello.
And we are continuing our playthrough of Diablo 2 Resurrected. So, it's been a little while. We had left off trying to kill Druid. Matt, you had not succeeded in it yet.
Yeah, I had not succeeded. I've played this game for many, many hours since then. I still don't think I would have been able to beat him.
Druid, from what I understand, is one of the hardest bosses in the game, mainly because of the fact that he is just relentless.
Yep.
But I'm very interested to hear about Act 3's boss because...
It's a piece of cake.
Oh, really?
First try, didn't even, I don't think he barely ever hit me. Not even once I think he hit me.
So no problem with Mephisto.
Yeah, not even a little bit.
So a lesser evil gave you more trouble than a greater evil.
Yeah. I think Duriel's about ready to class up.
Yeah.
Make it to the big leagues.
So, so in order to beat Duriel, I joined your game, and, my Hammerden made short work of him.
Yeah, certainly did.
I apparently have been missing out when I was 15 years old.
Didn't know about the Hammerden?
Well, I didn't play any other class. That was the thing. I just played Necromancer, and holy crap, is Hammerden insane.
So, is it... I'm really curious then with someone that has so much time into this game. Now you've tried something else. I assume it plays radically differently. And does that give you any interest in checking out the other classes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I want to 1,000 gamer score this game. I want to complete it.
Oh, wow.
But that means getting
level
to
99?
level 99 on a hardcore character, which means level 99 on a character that never died. Ever. So full disclosure, obviously we took a week off. In that time, I have beaten Diablo 2, went through Act 5, and I have started Nightmare difficulty, which is the next difficulty up. I don't think I was properly ready for Nightmare difficulty because I probably died 15 times in Act 1 in the span of probably about 10 minutes of each other.
Wow.
It's no joke. So, moving on. So after you beat Duriel, we move on to Act 3, which is the jungle area, where the Zakarum is based, or at least a chapter of the Zakarum. And they have basically aligned with the greater evils and have helped Mephisto basically give the greater evils entry into hell so that they can escape from Sanctuary. A little backstory on the Zakarum. The Zakarum is a faith that I believe the Paladin was part of at one point. The Crusader from Diablo 3 is part of the Zakarum faith, but they are a different chapter. Obviously did not align with the ones that helped out the evil. But they were originally part of an order of holy warriors. And yeah, so they have set up a little base of operations in Kurast, which is where this jungle area is.
Yeah, I kind of like the jungle area. I mean, for me, maybe because I've only started Diablo so many times, and especially Diablo 3, I played the beginning so much. Whenever I think of Diablo, I think about, the moors and the swamp and puddles and skeletons. So it was a little bit of a shock going into Act 2 and it being a desert setting.
Sure.
And then even Act 3 here, I thought was a little not strange. I actually really liked the jungle setting, but it was pretty clear that each one was like wholly independent, themed around a geography like that. Like it doesn't gently go from from the desert into the jungle. It's you're either in the desert or the jungle.
Right. Well, obviously the Kuros jungle seems to be based on like a Mayan kind of thing with the temples and the steps and stuff like that.
Yeah, which is cool. I mean, there was a couple of good horror movies, The Ruins and one other one at least, that really had had that kind of jungle vibe to it. So, definitely a place where some bad things can happen.
Sure.
I think the only bad thing from a gameplay perspective for me here was there's a lot of traveling between like pathways and then stairs and then lower levels. And sometimes in this section, especially towards the end, it was very hard to kind of tell what level I was on. Like if this had a little bit better like depth of field or something, it would have been really cool.
Yeah. Gosh, man, the jungle is it's a rough one because this is one of the few maps in the game that basically parts of it lead into a different section. So I should say that every part every map is randomized, but they always have a beginning and end that lead to something. But the jungle can lead into another map. So you can lead into the Flare jungle twice.
Yeah.
So it's like one big map rather than sectioned off areas. And then if you get this giant river in the middle of it that you have to go, over bridges, and then, now I'm in this part of the jungle. Now I'm in the spider forest. Now I'm back over here in the Flare jungle. And it can get confusing, as me and you both found out, because we both
I didn't even know what section I was in half the time.
Yeah, we both played through a lot of this, and I was like, okay, well, I know where this is. We got to go to the Flare jungle. So what they require is that the Zakarum have created this orb that is basically a bridge gateway opener to hell. And Mephisto is going through it, or has opened it, and both Diablo and Baal have escaped to hell. Mephisto is standing guarding it, basically, I think. So we are going to have to destroy this orb, and in doing so, we have to have a magical flail that requires us to create it in the Herodic Cube, and we have to get 3 ingredients: brain, eyes, and heart. And combine it with the flail, which the flail is on one of the Zakarum upper people. Destroy the orb, then travel into the kind of like the gateway to hell. And there's obviously a lot of side quests that you can do here. Some of them are kind of random happenstance. So finding a certain drop and bringing it back to town can lead to a quest.
I think I ended up doing all of them in the end. There might have been one that I missed out on, but towards the end I had a couple that like I discovered, and then within 5 minutes I had completed.
Right. Yeah, we got through it really quickly, I feel like.
Yeah. I think you and I got through a bulk of the just going around and like unlocking stuff. I leveled up a lot because of those horrendous little pixie trolls.
Yeah, those guys are annoying. But basically what we did was, after we defeated Duriel, we started Act 3, and we're just like, okay, let's go get you all the waypoints. So that makes it a hell of a lot easier finding stuff, especially in the jungle area because it's so confusing. But so that's basically what we did. We did collect a couple of the items I think we got like the heart and the brain. And then I left you. That we ended that session, and you did the rest of it on your own. So leading into the pit of, I wouldn't say the pit of hell, the entrance to hell. We have to fight Mephisto, which is one of the greater evils. And you said that you had no problem whatsoever with Mephisto, huh?
Yeah, I didn't think this was too bad for me. They once I was down in the general area, I was just kind of making my way through, and there was a lot of smaller enemies. But by the time I got to him, it almost seems like the way my character is set up, either I can replenish my wolves faster than they die, and it's an easy fight, or I can't, and I can't win. Like if the enemy can kill my wolves faster than I can replenish them, like once he gets to me, I have nothing left. Like all of my offense is my wolf pack. And so like Mephisto never even touched me because a couple of times I ran up and slashed him in the back and hit him directly, but most of the time I just kind of stayed at the outskirts and made sure I have my life-giving squid and my wolf pack and my ravens, and as long as they were all active and doing their business, he was too distracted to ever look at me.
Right.
So it kind of worked the way I think it was supposed to there, but for some reason Duriel just ripped through them, and I could not keep enough wolves on the field.
Is it because you're running out of mana?
Yeah, and just they were just dying so quickly. I mean, I felt like Duriel was killing one every like 3 seconds, so I could come in with 20 health, like 20 mana potions, but I couldn't even use them fast enough to keep the wolves alive. Not to mention, I'm still not sure why it doesn't like auto fill the use bar. So as soon as I would use up, let's say I would fill up 6 of my 8 slots with mana potions, I would use those 6 up, but then it would take me longer to either manually use them from my inventory or to try and put them back into my sash, my belt, and then use them from there. So once I got to that point, there was no way I could regain the upper hand.
I would assume faster cast rate would help out with that. What kind of a weapon are you using, Matt?
I've got a fairly generic weapon, so I've still mostly stuck with some of the rune words that I had last time. So I've got the Nadir as my helmet. I've got my armor is stealth, and I've got now Ancient's Pledge as my shield.
Okay.
But my boots, my gloves, and my weapon are all kind of generic. I've got a saber that's got a fast attack rate, and it's got a few other bells and whistles on it, but it's a yellow. I think it's that like Vipers, like Touch of the Vipers saber or something.
Okay.
It's reasonably okay, I think, but it doesn't do anything beyond being an okay weapon.
So I feel like you're obviously relying on your wolves to do a lot of your damage. But are you actually attacking yourself? Or are you just hanging back?
I usually go in and attack.
Okay.
Right? If I wasn't going to attack at all, I would switch to a bow and get in like purely range damage. But what I do is I generally wait for the wolves to distract the enemies, and then I circle around behind and start attacking from the back. And often they'll just stick with the wolves, and then I just get in free hits.
Sure.
And since it has a pretty fast attack rate, I feel like it does pretty good damage.
Okay. So one thing you could try, especially since you have stealth, you have faster cast rate right now. There are some offensive magic abilities, casting abilities that you could invest in, so that way you're doing a little bit more damage, possibly some AoE damage.
Yeah.
that could really help out. So I know the Druid has wind
Yep.
abilities.
Yeah, lots of tornadoes and hurricanes.
And from what I understand, that's one of the stronger builds for the Druid is the Whirlwind or Wind Druid. And obviously we haven't got to it yet, but the way you're talking, this build that you've made is not really working for you in Act 4.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like it, but everything I've read about it is that it's a bit slow. Like the damage, like even if I can keep my guys alive, it's just not a very high damage dealing build.
Sure.
Which is fine. I don't need it to be fast, but it just ends up almost a binary thing of I can keep my wolves alive and they'll eventually get there, or I can't, and that's like the determinant. I don't have a lot of options at the moment for keeping them alive. I need to make sure I keep my life squid up there, but that's the biggest thing I have to focus on.
Gotcha. So I will ask you: Are you thinking of respecking?
Yeah, I figure that's one of the options. Either respecking or just grinding up a few levels. Because if I can, every level on those wolves increases their life and increases their damage output.
Sure.
So
on top of that, you could start maybe farming for some items that give you plus to your wolves or plus to your skills.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I don't really understand is I don't know how to get pluses to my wolves. Like there's a lot of things that say strength or enhanced strength, but those only affect me and my sword swings, I think. I don't think they have any effect on my summons.
Yeah, so that's those kinds of things are on magical items. They're also on rare items. They're on some legendaries. Legendaries typically or not, I wouldn't say legendaries, uniques. And those are typically, uniques are typically reserved for class-specific items. Now, there's uniques for every item in the game, or almost every item in the game. The issue is that it's going to be harder to find the drops for the uniques. I feel like one of the best things that you could look for, so you can even like go into town and look at the vendors and maybe find something that gives you plus to your wolves or plus to your. So I'm curious, what is the name of those abilities? What's the name of the wolves?
It's just like summon timber wolves or summon wolves.
Summon wolves?
Yeah, separate from summon dire wolves.
Summon wolves.
So I'm basically also looking at kind of two different timelines. My current thought, unless it's not a good one, was essentially just grind a little bit because, I could use the extra boosts to my wolves. I've also got 3 of my 4 components with rune words I would like to upgrade before maybe taking on Diablo. And they're all right around where I am, so I'm level 27 now. And the 3, looking at kind of the rune words broken out by, what type of item they upgrade. I've got a 25, a 27, and a 29 I'd like to upgrade to. So I still have a couple levels just in order to meet the minimum level requirement for my shield upgrade.
Okay.
So I figure if I do that, by the time I get everything I need, get all the pieces, get all the runes farmed, it'll probably be 30. And then I feel like if I could be level 30 with all these upgrades plus my level boosts, then I think I could probably go in and take on Diablo.
Okay.
Although I might want to go back just for revenge and fight Duriel first and just beat him single-handedly and, for the pleasure of it.
Well, I mean, that's, like I said, that's completely up to you. I know nothing of the Druid. Obviously, I'm going to tell you to play it how you want to.
Yeah, and then my thought was as soon as I kind of beat the game, I would like to respec and then go even if I don't go to a harder level, I would love to respec and just keep playing to get better stuff.
Sure. Well, trust me, once you move to Nightmare, you'll be getting better stuff immediately.
Okay.
Higher the difficulty, the better the stuff. So.
Even in like the first act?
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, nice.
I found 3 things that replaced my stuff that I had. The only thing I didn't replace was my weapon that I had, which was and I need to get rid of that weapon. I'll talk about my plight in a little bit. I'm having a hard time getting things to work in my game.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious what kind of things. Generally, the game's worked well for me when it works, but, you know, my biggest frustration so far has really been that I carved out Saturday morning the last 2 weekends to really dive into it and couldn't connect literally once all day on Saturday.
Were down, yeah.
Not one time, 2 weeks in a row, 2 Saturdays in a row. Nothing. And I'm like, all right, well, that was most of my week of game time. I guess I'll just keep trying to get rewards on Xbox instead.
Yeah. But, yeah. So you had no problem with Mephisto. Good. Excellent. And then we travel to hell.
Yeah.
So killing Mephisto. God, what was the cutscene after Mephisto? I can't even remember.
Well, before I got to the cutscene, I actually had some trouble figuring out what to do because I killed Mephisto and then went back to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
Like to Tyrael, and I just I can't figure out where I'm supposed to actually go. And then I had to go back to Mephisto's little lair and then go through that portal that was in the center.
Right.
But yeah, I had been looking at that portal, like even when you enter his area, you can see it, but it's like in the middle of the lake or something.
Mm-hmm.
Which for some reason, even though there's stairs that go down into the water, you can't go into the water.
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't realize that the bridge was going to open on the back side of it rather than on the front side that I was able to see the whole time.
Right.
Kind of hidden.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't remember what the cutscene was. For
that was a cool.
4.
Was it after? I thought it was after I killed him that they showed the cutscene of him going down in there, and Mephisto was having his little powwow with the Wanderer, and then the lady that was chained to the stone that had almost like the snakes for hair, but like whips.
Right.
And there was that kind of schlub that just kind of walked in and messed everything up. And Tyrael asked him not to remove the stone, but he did anyway. But that must have been at the beginning of the chapter, not at the end, right?
Yeah, that was after we killed Duriel.
Yeah.
And he gave the stone to he gave the stone to God, what's his name? The guy's locked up. He's telling us the story of this. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But he told him to take it through the portal and destroy it in the infernal forge. Because that's where you can destroy the soul stones.
Yep.
But he was too afraid to do it. But now we have the soul stone, and now we can do it. So that's where we go. We go to hell, and first order of business is going and finding this forge and destroying it.
The Hell Forge.
Yep, going to the Hell Forge and destroying the Soulstone of Mephisto. Also, while we're down here, there is a fallen angel that has betrayed heaven and has been linked up with the greater evils. And we find him and have to deal with him. There's only 3 quests in Act 4. This is a short act.
Yeah, and it feels pretty short because I feel like you almost do them accidentally, right? Like there's not that many areas either.
Yeah,
and
they
are
all
kind of big. But,
yeah, they're big, but they all lead into each other.
Yeah, so it just exploring gets you basically everything you need.
Yeah,
like the first one was literally just kill this fallen angel, and he just kind of shows up. Isual? I don't know how you say it.
I don't know. But yeah, we destroy the Mephisto Soul Stone, so he cannot be resurrected again. And then it's on to the River of Flame, which is I guess the river Styx. I don't know. It's the river that you have to cross to get into the inner sanctum where Diablo resides. And going through this area, it's relatively easy to skip some guys. Occasionally you'll get stuck on some stairs and guys will, really being annoying, blocking you on the stairs.
Yeah.
But then you make it to the inner sanctum and get ready to run the gauntlet, man.
Yep. This was a lot of people, so I'm excited that I will be able to level up just by going through this area because there's just so many enemies. But so as far as I made it is I got into the sanctum. I basically felt like I cleared it, like hundreds of enemies cleared, and then I activated a seal, and like 30 of those giant gargoyles came at me.
Yeah.
Moving like 100 miles an hour, and like preventing me from moving. They ripped through my wolves, and then I was dead.
Yeah. So that's one of the things. In order to summon Diablo, you have to break these 5 seals, activate the seals, which are in the inner sanctum. And when you click on one of them, it summons a champion mob that comes after you. And some of these mobs are hard. But the good thing is that if you hit all the seals and you kill the champions, and Diablo shows up, every enemy in that area dies, and it's just you and Diablo. So, yeah, I would say don't try that speed run because.
Is it worth doing if like you hit the 4th one? Like as soon as you activate the 4th, is it like, all right, if I just activate the 5th, then they all die?
No, you have to kill the enemies that spawn because you broke the seal.
Oh, well.
But the other random enemies running around, they will all die.
Yeah, all right. That's definitely not going to work.
Yeah. And that's unfortunately where you are, Matt. You had to stop there.
Yeah. I kind of went through the end of 3 and most of 4 pretty easily, but I feel like Duriel was a point that just like was way harder than my character could handle.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's where I am now. I only tried it like 1.5 times. But that mob was pretty intense, so I don't know how close I am to even being able to hold my own against it, or if we might need like another session.
I mean, we can. I can easily run you through that.
Yeah, I want to go through and grind a little bit, at least level up kind of within the build that I've got, just see if I can get there.
Sure.
Also, knowing that there's a lot of fire from the gargoyles, and then I believe from Diablo himself, I might load up on fire resistance.
Yeah, there's a ton of fire coming from Diablo.
And I kind of feel like he's going to be like Duriel in that every time he takes 2 swings, one of my wolves is down.
Possibly. But, yeah, he will definitely breathe fire, so stay out of the way of that. He will also have an AoE attack that basically he stomps on the ground and flames come around him in a circle.
Yeah.
And you're fighting him in a big pentagram. Now, obviously, you can kite him out of it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I mean, if you want my advice, I would say if you do want to grind and level up a couple of times, I would throw at least maybe 1 point into an offensive casting ability.
Yeah. Maybe get those tornadoes going.
Yeah, I feel like it may benefit you a little bit for that. What synergizes with your spirit wolves? Because that's what you're using mainly is the spirit wolves, right?
Yeah.
Do you know any abilities that synergize with the spirit wolves?
Like of my own abilities?
Yeah, so other things in your skill trees will synergize and buff your wolves ability.
I know the Grizzly does. That's one that I might want to get, and that's where, I want to grind a bit, but, I'll grind up to 29 so that I can get that next rune word shield. But if I get to 30, then I can summon the bear. And I think the bears and the wolves synergize.
Okay, let me take a look here. Summon Spirit Wolf. Only one beast type can be summoned at a time. Synergizes. It receives synergy from Summon Dire Wolf and Summon Grizzly.
But what does that mean if you can only have one at a time? Just having the spell Summon Grizzly
just
gives
having,
it the boost?
Yes, just having hard points put into that will...
and does it scale, or is it like a yes or no? You've either got it and it gets the bonus, or it doesn't.
No, it scales. So obviously, I don't know what the synergy does, but if it receives synergy from Summon Direwolf or Summon Grizzly, each point you put into those, it will give a better buff to your Spirit Wolves. Because it happens with the Hammerden as well. So my main damage dealing ability is the Blessed Hammer. Blessed Hammer gets synergy from 2 different things. It gets synergy from Blessed Aim, which is an offensive aura that I never use. I never have that aura on ever, but I put points into it, and I put 20. I max it out because it gets 15% extra magic damage for each point you put into it.
Wow.
And then you get some from Vigor as well. And like I said, I don't ever use those auras. I don't even have a map to a button. I don't even have to do that. Just putting hard points into those increases my Blessed Hammer damage. And it's the same way with all the other skills in the game for all the different classes. Is that there's abilities that synergize with the other ones.
Yeah, interesting. So I just need to keep pumping points into them.
Yeah, I would definitely. I mean, I would definitely invest in that if you want. I mean, if you want to go full on Spirit Wolf build, go for it. I mean, like I said, you still got that respec that you can always use. And once you beat Act 5, you now have 2 respecs that you can use.
Oh, okay. Because I wanted to save one for after I beat the game, but
yeah, so you get
if I get another one,
you get a respec from the lady in the first act, the woman that gives you a lot of the quests. So you can always go back to Act 1 in normal mode and get that respec. As soon as you move to Nightmare mode and you finish the first quest, you now have another respec that you can use if you go to Nightmare mode. And then the same way with Hell. After you beat the first quest in Hell mode, you have another respec that you can use if you want. But those are the only 3 free ones that you get. After that, you then have to craft an item using the Heraldric Cube and get a respect that way. Those are not easy because it requires special drops that you get from killing Diablo, Mephisto, and Baal on Hell mode. And they're not a guaranteed drop.
Okay.
So you have access to 3 respecs, so you can, I would say you can use one willy-nilly if you want. Once you make it to Nightmare, you might want to start thinking.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned. Like, I really want to get deeper into these builds and get more points and unlock more of these trees, but Nightmare sounds hard.
Nightmare's pretty rough. Because not only do the enemies just have, better attack damage and take more hits, they also have different resistances. On top of that, you get penalties. So I had 75% resistance on all my elements. As soon as I started Nightmare mode, I have maybe, with the same equipment on, I have like 15% fire resistance, 20-something% poison resistance, negative 15 lightning resistance now, because they penalize you to make the game harder. And that's with Ancient's Pledge on.
Yeah.
Which
Ancient's Pledge I finally did get, but I want to upgrade to Rhyme.
Okay.
At level 29, that's one of the things I definitely want. It gives me like 75% defense.
So 75%. So let me get into my plight here, which is something you're not going to have to worry about until you get to Act 5. There is a quest reward in Act 5 that the smith will socket a single item.
Okay.
For you. And he only does it once. It's much like the respec kind of thing. And I want to make the Spirit Shield. Spirit's really nice because it has faster cast rate, which is essential for a Hammerden. And I looked it up because I'm not a master at this game, but I looked it up and tried to find, all right, what shields can I give to this guy that will get exactly 4 slots?
Yeah.
All right. I found it. It took me forever. I found a shield. In Act 3. No, in Act 4. I killed Diablo, and a standard ass, like just regular shield dropped. And I was like, okay, there's my white shield. I'll take it to the smith. I took it to the smith. He made it for me. There's 3 slots, not 4. He only does the maximum slots if the item level is a certain level or higher.
Yeah.
Your item level is based on your current level, which means, but here's the thing, and it works the same way with gambling too. If you ever gamble for something in this game, like at the vendor,
yep,
it takes your level. So let's say I'm level 30. And when something drops, it goes between 5 levels below or 3 or 4 levels above. So I could be getting something to drop that is level 28. Or I could get something that's level 32. And there's certain thresholds where it's a high enough item level to give the maximum amount of sockets. I didn't think about that. I also didn't look it up. And so when I took it to the smith, he gave me a 3-slot shield again. Now, granted, this shield was significantly better than the standard-ass shield that I was using for Ancient's Pledge.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and made a new Ancient's Pledge, which is fine. But I was really mad that I didn't get my Spirit Shield. And now I don't get that guaranteed socket until Act 5 of Nightmare.
That's crazy. That is a long time to wait for that one socket.
It's true. Granted, I am halfway through Act 1 right now, and it only took me about an hour to get through it. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, no, it's... Once you've got basically everything memorized, you know exactly how to beeline it to where you can get to the next act.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. There is a bit of meandering and wandering, trying to understand even without waypoints and markers and glowing points on maps to go to. There was a bit of figuring it out for sure.
Yeah. So, but I have got some within my first 30 minutes of being in Nightmare, I have already found replacements for multiple things that I had been using for hours.
Yeah.
I found 3 uniques in Act 1 of Nightmare mode.
Yeah, I don't think I have any uniques, right? I have some yellows.
You have some yellow. So uniques, it's easy to confuse uniques with rares because they kind of have the same color. So a rare is a bright yellow, while a unique is technically a gold color. But they can be. So perfect example, your Ancient's Pledge, right? When you hover over Ancient's Pledge should be in that gold color.
Yeah, okay.
That's considered a unique, basically, because it's a rune word.
Yeah. I was going to say because it's named, but they're all named.
So, are you enjoying the game so far, Matt?
Yeah, I am actually a bit more than I thought I would.
Okay.
I think the whole... So the strangest thing to me is it's a game for me that seems to ask of the player to spend 2/3 or 3/4 of their time outside the game figuring out what they need to do. Like how to assemble the pieces, how to figure out these rune words, what the recipes are for the Bradric Cube, all of that stuff I feel like I need to take notes before I play. And then the game itself is a lot of executing on that and searching and random drops and repeated runs. So it's an interesting combination of gameplay for me. Maybe that's not what was ever intended, but...
Well, in 2000, we didn't have any of that stuff.
Yeah.
In 2000, we just kind of figured this crap out on our own.
I really like that
Battle.net forums and so hey, have you guys tried putting these runes together? Which, granted, like I said before, this is the first time I've ever played Lords of Destruction.
Yeah.
Because I never had. When I beat Diablo in Act 4, that was the end of my journey. And doing bail runs and stuff like that, I never did that as a kid because I never owned Lords of Destruction.
So the first time you played it, how many hours do you think it took you to beat Diablo the first time?
About as many times as much as it took me this time. So I would say probably maybe 15 hours. Yeah, I was taking my time with it too because this was like the first time I'd ever played this kind of a game before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a very different kind of game.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, and I like I said, I kind of tried to figure this stuff out, and and it was the early times of the internet, and you looked at forums to get advice on stuff.
Not the answer, just advice.
Well, yeah, I mean, wikis didn't exist back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was weird because rune words were added in a later patch.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's like 1.9, I think. When were rune words added? Introduced in the expansion. So yeah. So rune words were added in the expansion. I didn't do this whole rune word stuff when I was a kid. Now, did I not look at this stuff? Of course. Of course I did. I was a kid. I loved Diablo 2. I was poor. So I couldn't afford to buy Lords of Destruction. Also at that time, it came out in 2001. There was something else that came out in 2001 that took my time up. You know what it was, Matt?
The original Xbox?
No, the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
And I had moved on from Diablo 2 by the time Lords of Destruction came out, which was a year later. But I do remember it was pretty big. Everybody was talking about it, and friends that I had played Diablo 2 with were like, yeah, this is great. And I was like, okay, cool. I can't afford it. So I never played Lords of Destruction, never played around with rune words and stuff like that. And there's a lot of people out there, those purists, who believe that rune words kind of ruin the game.
By making it too easy?
Well, just making stuff just dumb, overpowered. It took a lot of the difficulty out of the game.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm still waiting for that point, but I'm sure it'll happen or can happen.
I feel like if I can get, so the thing is you can get spirit on a shield and on a sword, and you can run double spirit, which is insane. I don't know. I'm trying to get my faster cast rate, because I feel like that's the ultimate goal is to get Enigma, because Enigma gives you the ability to teleport like the sorceress.
Yeah.
And that makes your mobility insane. So just teleport, find a group, throw out Blessed Hammer, kill all those guys, check and see if there's anything good it dropped, and teleport away. Legit, you can go through the inner sanctum where you're stuck at right now with Enigma and a Hammerden. You could probably go through that in about 30 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's one of the things that I'm also not super clear on is how to prioritize certain things, right? With as quickly as I've been dying, I've been spending a lot of time trying to figure out, all right, what's going to give me the best defense? But now that I'm thinking about it, if adding the strength doesn't help my wolves stay alive, then maybe adding defense doesn't have any benefit either, because I don't really care if my defense is better.
So,
the whole, I mapped out all these rune words I want because I'm like, oh, plus 75% defense, that's amazing. But maybe that won't help me at all.
So it would help you if you were trying to make a tank character, particularly if you were trying to make a melee-based character.
Yeah.
The rule, the name of the game in Diablo 2 is making your character kill stuff as fast as possible while also keeping your resistances up.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was my thing. I'm like, do I prioritize offense or defense? And if I prioritize defense, is it resistances or is it actual defense?
Is
it life?
Resistances. Yeah. So
okay.
Buff up your life, buff up your resistances. Ideally, you want to have 75% on all the resistances. Obviously, I got a lot of work to do when I move to Nightmare, because right now I have negative 15 to something. But yeah, at the end of Act 5, when I beat normal, I had 75% resistance on everything. And it's really about DPS. It's really about just like how fast you can kill stuff. Diablo 2 has always kind of been more of how badass of a glass cannon you can be. Because it's not about you being able to take a lot of hits. Sure, there's class builds based around that. Barbarian's pretty good at it. Paladin's actually pretty good at it too. But it really is about how fast you can kill stuff. Because what ends up happening is that you're going to be doing a lot of quote runs. You're going to be killing Diablo multiple times. You're going to be killing Baal multiple times.
Yeah.
And going through those dungeons, killing him as fast as possible, quitting the game, going back in, doing it again.
Yep.
Summoner builds. I played a summoner build whenever I was a necromancer. I used the Iron Golem mostly. In retrospect, maybe I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I don't know. But or
maybe I just need to get to my Grizzly and give my bears more offense, and I can speed through it faster. I'm not sure.
Possibly. I mean, is that what the Beastmaster build talked about? Was running the bear the most?
I think it actually focused on the dire wolves, which, I was like, I'm not going to use them because I only have 3, but I get 5 spirit wolves. But I think the spirit wolves, they all kind of contribute to each other, and I think the dire wolves or the spirit wolves get better from having the grizzly bear, but the grizzly bear also gets better from having the spirit wolves. So it sounds like I think what I read was that they considered the 3 dire wolves to be the best, but I assume then that I need to have a lot of points into grizzly bear and spirit wolves to help boost the dire wolves, because in my mind anyway, and whether it's true or not, I don't know, and that's where kind of balancing some of these things against each other isn't super clear to me. Like sometimes it'll, like I can read that like, this is the best armor, but I'm like, well, that's not real helpful because I'm like 50 levels away from being able to even use that armor. Or now, like if it says 3 direwolves is the best, is that true all the way through, or do I have to be like level 50 before that becomes true? And so there's a little bit of that ambiguity for me, knowing even if I read this is the best, I'm like, well, how is it the best though?
Right. Well, you got to keep in mind these guides have been around 20 years. They've damn near perfected most of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the thing is like summoner, like I never played Druid, so I don't know. Like I like Druid was added in Lords of Destruction, so
yeah.
I know I played Summoner Necromancer, and like Necromancer had an awesome skill that you could. It was curses that he could use, and it was called Iron Maiden. And Iron Maiden, you would curse an enemy, and every time they physically attacked something, they would take that amount of damage back to them. So they were basically killing themselves.
Yeah.
So you could curse them, and that could throw out an Iron Golem, and then the Iron Golem would go up there and tank, and every time a enemy would hit my Iron Golem, if they were cursed, they would end up hurting themselves.
Yeah.
So
seems good.
I don't know if there's anything kind of like that for the Druid. Like, what is rabies? I keep hearing people throw around the term rabies. Is there a rabies ability?
I have not seen it yet.
I'm assuming it's some kind of poison build. But poison in Diablo 2 is not the greatest. Like, I know Poison Nova was a pretty big build for the Necromancer.
Yeah, Rabies Druid or Rabies Werewolf.
Okay.
Seems to be a build.
Is there a skill called Rabies?
Yeah. Applies poison damage over time to affected enemies.
Gotcha. Okay. And it's just if you attack somebody? Or is it also when your wolves attack?
Skill's greatest advantage is that it can't be cured. Has the ability to spread among enemies, making it powerful attack against large groups. Obviously use this attack only in werewolf form. So I assume only my attacks.
Gotcha. So it sounds like that's a shifter class kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep. Then you use a poison creeper to give it synergy. Huh.
So I've been using a website called Max Roll GG. And they have guides for Diablo 2, 3, and Diablo Immortal of all games. But if you look at their tier list of builds, their overall tier list, they have S rank, they have A rank, B rank, C, D, and F. If you look at their tiers, S rank, Sorceress, Hammerden, Sorceress, Paladin, Necromancer, Barbarian, Necromancer, Barbarian, Amazon, and Assassin. There's not a single Druid in the S tier list. The first time Druid shows up is in the A tier list, and it's the Wind Druid, which is the thing I sent you today.
Yeah, that'll probably be what I respect to, just because it'll be cool to see almost like a totally different build also, without having to start over at level 1. Now, does a respec give me everything, my skill points and my attribute points?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Then yeah, I would definitely totally respec and probably do the Wind Druid and use that for the next playthrough.
The next Druid build that you can find is B tier. That's a Fury Druid. There's also a Fire Druid in B tier. C tier, there's a Fire Claw Druid. And then in D tier, there's the Rabies Druid. And that's it.
Beastmaster doesn't make the cut.
Beastmaster, I don't think any of it's on here. I'm trying to imagine what a Fury Druid is. I'm going to click on it and see. Extremely powerful melee build. Oh, okay. Some of the highest possible damage and life values in Diablo 2. The build centers around maximizing the shape-shifting skill tree with some support from the summoning skill tree. The choice of summon support will largely dictate the direction the player will take. Let's see here.
Yeah, I see Fury Werewolf and Maul Bear, so there's probably a couple of melee-focused builds based around the transformations.
Sure. And there you go. Is there any other class that you would like to try out?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'd love to try all of them.
Sure.
I almost wish I had the ability to jump into like a level 10 character of every build just to see what it's like. You know, or almost like Dragon Age, like just play the first couple hours with every build.
Right.
But, you know, also separately, I just kind of want to go deep with this build.
Yeah, sure.
Just to see how it progresses, because that's also one of the things I never really did with Diablo 3. Like, I made it to the end game, and I did, I put a few hours in after that, but not tons of runs and not tons of, repeat playthroughs. I didn't make it anywhere near as far as I certainly could have.
Yeah, I did a lot of Diablo 3.
Yeah.
I would say I put more time into Diablo 3 than I did Diablo 2. Overall.
Because of multiple versions, or even just like on a particular version?
I played a ton of the PC version of that game, but then I, platinumed the PS4 version, and I've almost 1,000%ed the Xbox version of that game. Or 1,000 pointed that game. Yeah, I just played a lot of Diablo 3. Because it was weird because, like I said, I played a hardcore year of Diablo 2 and then dropped off.
Yeah.
And I loved that game. And then Diablo 3, they announced Diablo 3, and I followed it for a long time, and it took forever to bring it out, and I jumped into other action RPGs like Titan Quest and Torchlight. Torchlight was my jam, man. Like the original Torchlight, I absolutely loved that game. And I remember the beta for Diablo 3 came out. I played the beta, and the same day Torchlight 2 released, and I was like, wow. Torchlight 2 is so much better than Diablo 3. and to be honest with you, Torchlight 2 was like the ultimate like sequel. Like I feel like Torchlight 2 was like the ultimate sequel to Diablo 2. But Diablo 3 came out, and like I said, I was obsessed with it for a while. And then the auction house crap started, and they ruined that game. I dropped off of it hard after a few months. And then about a year later, they got rid of the auction house. They introduced Loot 2.0. And I jumped in because I got an email from them saying, hey, you've been invited to try out the new beta for the Loot 2.0 system. I was like, okay. I haven't played this game in forever. And I loaded it back up, instantly started getting better stuff for my character. And I was like, you know what? I'm back in. This is the Diablo I wanted to explore.
Yep, they give you the loot in your loot game. All of a sudden, it's a lot more incentivized to put the hours in, I guess.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Exactly. And it was accessible. Like Diablo 3 is easily one of the most accessible games out there in that genre. And it's fun. I really like Diablo 3 a lot.
Yeah, I do too. Although even playing through Diablo 3, I felt like my goal was to quote unquote beat the game. Whereas I don't really feel that at all with Diablo 2. Maybe it's just because I know more having played Diablo 3. But, this game to me doesn't feel like it's about beating it. It feels like it's about the gear. And I didn't even feel that as much in Diablo 3.
So, yeah, you should, I would say, go back and play Diablo 3 now.
Yeah, it might be different now.
With Reaper of Souls, I have to give Blizzard credit here. Blizzard's done a lot of things that I don't like, but they've done a lot of stuff right with Diablo 3. Diablo 3, with each update, with each expansion, with each patch that they did, they progressively gave the player more options. They gave the player... They never nerfed the player. They never nerfed anything because it's too good. They said, yes, this is too good. We're going to give you 5 more options to make the game harder. And that gets people to keep playing. That's the thing, is like, they release greater rifts now, and there's the challenge of like, so Diablo 2 has normal, nightmare, and hell, right?
Yeah.
There's like 20 different difficulties in Diablo 3.
That's crazy.
It goes up to like Torment 12. I think it might be going up higher than that now. I haven't logged into Diablo 3 in a long time. But like that's the thing, is like they increased, they never removed anything or made something harder for the player unless you wanted to. And that's what made Diablo 3 so addicting, because you can totally spec your character with all the legendary stuff that you want that completely break the game. And that's what made it fun.
Yeah.
So, and and Torchlight 2 has that as well. Torchlight 2 is so fucking good, dude. It's so
Yeah,
good.
that's one of the games that's still locked behind my. Like, I'm so far into Torchlight 1, I just need to find a weekend and, like, finish it.
Yeah.
And then jump into Torchlight 2.
Torchlight 2 is so good. Oh, it's so good. There's
I've given
so
up
many
on a lot of
things.
my one game gating another game mentality, but for some reason that one still is for me. I'm like, look, Torchlight was awesome. I loved it. There's no reason I shouldn't finish it. It's not even like Assassin's Creed where I'm like, look, it just is a little boring and repetitive, and I know the sequel is going to be better. Like, I really enjoy all the time I've spent with Torchlight, so I have no excuse. So I just really, really want to finish that. And then immediately jump into Torchlight 2.
Yeah, Torchlight 2 is fantastic. I still stand by that game. It's so good. Like, playing Diablo 2 again, like, obviously I want to play more Diablo 2, but it has kind of like revitalized my love for the genre.
Mm.
Like, I want to go back. Like, dude, I bought Grim Dawn. Grim Dawn is a fantastic action RPG that I've only put maybe 4 hours into. And I'm like, I really want to go back to Grim Dawn. And, like, people talk about, like, I reviewed some of them. They released it weird because they released it in 3 different games. The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing is legit a great action RPG.
Yeah, I think I even have a copy of this. I've never played it, though.
Yeah, Van Helsing?
No, Grim Dawn.
Grim Dawn? Yeah, Grim Dawn's great. Grim Dawn is crazy good. And the thing is like all these games have the same style, but they add their own twist to it. You know, like a Path of Exile. People love Path of Exile. There's a lot of people who hate Path of Exile because they say, quote, they're ruining the game. At least that's all I ever hear. All I ever hear is people complaining about it. When a game gets so big that when a game gets to a certain point that it's so big, all you ever hear is people complaining about it.
Yeah.
So, whatever. But, I mean, obviously, like, I want to take my Paladin to level 99 in Diablo 2. Like, that's all there is to it. I want
Connected.
I mean, the only issue I have with that is that I made a class. I made a Hammerden, which is like one of the best builds in the game. The problem is that it's an online character, and all of the stuff that I get on my Hammerden, I can't transfer over to my offline characters. Because that's kind of the point of your first character. Your first character usually is a sorceress because they get the teleport ability, and they're like really powerful too. And they're the character you go and get some of the best stuff for other classes and then start a new class. So I probably should have started with a sorceress, but I was like, you know what? I want to go Paladin this time.
So you have multiple offline characters? Like, why would anyone build an offline character if you start online and you can't share online to offline?
Why would I start an offline character?
Yeah, after having already started an online one.
Well, see, that's the problem. I started an online one. Well, obviously, I started an online one because I wanted to play with you some. But a perfect example is that the past 2 Saturdays, if we were playing offline characters, we could have fucking played.
Yep.
So that's the reason why.
Yeah, all right. Well, I definitely feel that.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Blizzard, fix your fucking servers. You're Blizzard. Don't tell me you don't have money to do it.
Yeah, I know World of Warcraft should be paying for a lot still.
Yeah, I'm just like, God, this is not that difficult, guys. Somebody flip a switch. But,
yeah.
You know, I mean, I've got burned on waiting in queues. Like, I waited in a queue. I swear to God, it said I'm like number 4 in queue, and I sat there for like 10 minutes. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I've never seen that queue number move, by the way. I've been like 320 up to 480 at the various times I've joined it. I've never seen it go down once.
Yeah, I've seen it go down, but then it was like 3 nights ago or something like that. I was just sitting there, and I was stuck at number 4, and I was like, scrolling through my phone, and like I looked up and I was like, I'm still at number 4. What the fuck is going on? Like, what's going on here? And finally, I just got into a game. I was like, what? Like, why did this take 10 minutes? But to play, I'm playing by myself. I don't know, whatever. That's just me. That's me complaining. It's like I sound like a Path of Exile player. So yeah, or we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely enjoying it though, and again, a bit more than I thought I would, because coming out of Diablo 3, I kind of was like, all right, well, it's going to be that, but a little bit worse, and it's not going to have quite as good a cutscenes. It's not going to be as polished. It's not going to be just as good of a game, but I'm actually enjoying it for very, very different reasons.
Yeah, definitely. I think you'll have a newfound respect for Diablo 3 if you ever go back to it.
Yeah, I should.
Yeah. Because there's Diablo 3 is a very different game, but it still has that spark that you get from Diablo 2. The options are obviously very different. God, those games are completely different. Like, now that I'm thinking about it. Like, in Diablo 2, you have the option to just hit stuff with a sword, and how good your sword is determines how well you're going to hit. Diablo 3, you don't have that at all. Diablo 3, your items are basically just alter how well you use your abilities.
Yeah.
Which, I guess what Blizzard looked at was how people played Diablo 2, because I'm playing a paladin who should be hitting stuff with a sword, but instead I'm just casting magic abilities.
Do you think that was also an attempt to diversify the characters? Because if a paladin is whacking something with a sword, and me as a druid is whacking something with a sword, and a sorceress is whacking someone with a staff, is it just the same? It's just like palette swapping? So if you focus on the abilities over the weapons, you can diversify things more? I don't know.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. That's a good question. I want to go back and rewatch that Diablo 3 talk that guy did. He was like one of the game designers, like the head designer of Diablo 3. And it was like an hour-long thing, like TED Talk almost, about how he was... I can't even remember what it was. If I can find that video, I'll show you. But it was a fascinating, just watching him talk about it, because he talked about the auction house crap and introducing Loot 2.0 and making the console version of the game and stuff like that. It was a very fascinating. He went into the history of it too. I'll see if I can find that video, because it was really good.
Yeah, that's interesting, especially now having played both.
Yeah, but yeah. No emails, Dustin. I know you were going to send us an email, but I think you may have forgot. That's okay though. But if you would like to send us an email, it's drew@ztgd.com. You can also tweet to us. I am at DMLFury. Matt is at REMGS, and the podcast itself is at ZTGD Phoenix Down. But yeah, we're gonna get out of here. But possibly finish Diablo next week.
That is certainly my hope.
Okay. You're at the end of Act 4. Act 5 is long. I'm not going to lie. Act 5 is pretty long. Obviously it was a paid expansion, so
yeah,
it has to be pretty long. Act 5 in Diablo 3 is pretty long too. So, but yeah, that's going to be it. We're going to get out of here. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. I appreciate it. Let us know what you think about this game. I know there's a few people out there playing along with us. Let me know. Send us an email. Give us your builds. Also, next episode, if next episode's the last episode, we may have a special guest on.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt doesn't even know this. I've already got confirmation. The final episode of Diablo 2, we're going to have Jay Lee on.
Excellent.
Yep. The guy who's already hit level 99 with a Hammerden. Game's been out a month.
Yeah, he's a beast.
He is a beast. But yeah, get excited for that. Send those emails in. But that's going to be it for us. Until next time, I am Drew.
And I'm Matt.
And we're out of here. You guys have a great week. Really do. Really have a great week. We're going into November.
And Halloween.
And Halloween. Yeah, happy Halloween. Yeah. I know we usually do a scary... No, we don't. We do them in December. Like the past 4 years, we've been doing Nightmare Before Christmas. So, whatever. But yeah, we're gonna get out of here. You guys have a great one. And we'll be back next week with the conclusion of... I'm calling it. We're doing the conclusion. The conclusion of Diablo 2 Resurrected.